We're back once again on Lutherans Alive with Bishop of the Southwestern Pennsylvania Synod, Bishop Kurt Kusserow. We were talking in our first segment about opportunities to gain some awareness and understanding with the people that you meet and the experiences that you have when you visit a place like the Holy Land. And most people are aware that it's impossible to talk to just one group and say you visited people in the Holy Land. There are factions of population there and very different positions and perspectives on what's going on there. And you were telling me off camera that following the visit with the rabbis, you also then had the opportunity to stop at the West Bank and to have some experiences there that would certainly raise awareness as well.
What we learned in that experience was in the same way that the Holocaust is such a foundational memory experience for the Jewish people, the presence of the wall is becoming that foundational experience for the Palestinian people and the thing that is with them always and always present. The next day on Friday, we went through the checkpoint in Bethlehem and went into the West Bank. And our group was large enough that we stayed in 3 different places.
Oh, okay.
The place that I stayed was in the town of Beit Jala, and the pastor of the congregation there, the Lutheran Church of the Reformation in Beit Jala, Pastor Jadala Shihadeh, he was telling us about how he had organized a group called the Tent of Abraham, which was an interreligious group that sought to give a response to the wall that was something other than a retaliatory or a vengeful act of confrontation, but rather was a peaceful act of asking that life could be different. It was last October that he had 3,000 people from different faith traditions and from all around the world come.
3,000.
And they marched to the wall with candles in a sign of interreligious peace. They had Christians and Jews and Muslims, people from the West Bank and also from Germany. And what they tried to do was demonstrate that there is another way to respond to that deep and abiding presence of the wall that many feel all the time, and that is the way of peace.
Well, that knee-jerk reaction of hostility or retaliation seems to be the most easily
Yes.
found by people who want to give a response.
Right.
But to find some more rational, more measured, and hopefully more useful response that other people, even as you say, from around the world can come and participate in, almost becomes eloquent.
It does.
If it can be heard.
It does. And again, a point of awareness that became very real for me in hearing that story was that the situation that is so desperate in the West Bank is a situation out of which interreligious dialogue and peace efforts have come that might not have arisen out of places of relative calm. If there isn't that passionate need to do something, then it's easy not to do anything at all. And the awareness moment that I had there was thinking, isn't that something, how the places of great distress become places where acts of peace are hatched and born. He's hoping to reenact the event with more people from around the world this July 4 to 11. He's hoping to have another peace march there up to the wall, and again invite Christians and Muslims and Jews from the West Bank and from around the world to come as a sign of our unity under Abraham, hence the Tent of Abraham, as being people of peace.
Well, it certainly sounds like something that can be a joiner, can be something that people can see as at least a constructive statement, if not a path forward. And that kind of response may hopefully also open the ears of those who, and the awareness of those since we're talking about awareness today,
Yes.
who live on the other side of that wall on a daily basis.
I think that's exactly the hope, that events like that will be eye-opening and heart-opening events, both for the people who participate and for the people who watch and see what's happening, uh, and for people all around the world.
Mm.
Our trip there was an attempt to go in person and to have those awareness experiences for ourselves, and then to come back and in various ways to share that experience, like I am sharing with you, and have through the Synod Echo monthly and in different locations, just to tell the story and help to share the experience with those who couldn't be there in person.
Since we're talking about awareness, maybe as we come to the conclusion of this segment, it might be possible to kind of turn things on their head or reverse a little bit and ask for those that are living in those circumstances and are seeking ways to get the word out, to make the rest of the world aware of what's going on and to seek a peaceful and a positive resolution to that situation. What's their perception of those of us around the world who are on the outside looking in? Do they have a kind of an awareness as to our curiosity or lack of education or understanding about the situation? Or how do they see the rest of us looking on as they experience all this?
I think that they are much more aware of what's happening in our country than
Mm.
many of us are aware of what's happening there. One of the things that we heard very clearly, both in Israel and in the West Bank, was how important the stance of the American government is to them. They're very aware of who we are and what we're doing. I heard it described in this way, and I think it's a good way to put it. The two-state solution that we often look to as a way of solving the crisis in Israel and the West Bank really needs to be a 4 or 5 or 6-state solution,
Mm.
because it's bigger than just Israel and the Palestinian people. But it has to involve the United States
Mm.
and Egypt and Lebanon and Jordan and Syria and perhaps Iraq and Iran as well, and the whole global community, because we do belong to each other and our actions do impact each other. And if anything, that's something that we learned there, that we are in this together.
Mhm. Oh, I'm sure it might seem as though it would be nice and neat if you could draw the lines at the borders of the countries and say, this is
Hmm.
the way we're going to manage things. But relationships and economies and um, political realities are all a part of, I'm sure,
Yes.
sorting those things out. We have come to the end of our second segment, so we are going to have to take just a short break, and we'll be back because I know you want to talk some as well about how we can help raise the awareness as we continue our witness back here in the States.